What's going on YouTube? This is Vincent from Vince Tremblay Fitness, and we're going to try a new video format here. Today's video we're going to be looking at Jeff Nippard calling out Greg Doucette for selling snake oil. I generally like Jeff Nippard's videos. I don't agree with 100% of what he says. I do believe that sumo deadlifts are cheating.
In this video, I'm going to be outlining 5 supplements that remain extremely popular despite a severe lack of scientific evidence for muscle growth or fat loss. Let's kick things off with testosterone boosters. This 2020 study did something really unique. It took the 5 most popular test boosters on Amazon.com and analyzed the individual ingredients for effect. This includes the usual suspects: horny goatweed, boron, ashwagandha, fenugreek, etc. And of these, fully half had 0 human studies showing a positive effect. Nothing. 3 ingredients had 1 or 2 studies showing a positive effect, but more research showing no effect. For example, saw palmetto and boron both have 2 positive studies, but then have 6 studies showing no effect at all. Fenugreek had 4 studies showing a positive effect, but also had 3 studies with indeterminate findings. So
here's the thing that's interesting about that. I wonder if you could actually, as a consumer, sue a supplement company who sells what they're claiming to be a test booster if there's none of the ingredients that actually have been demonstrated to boost your testosterone. Now, when it comes to the tort of fraud, there needs to be 3 things, right? So you need to have lied or misled someone to their detriment, so that's the second element, and to your advantage, or to the supplement company's advantage. Now the question is, when you're lying, saying something to be true without care as to whether or not it is true. In other words, saying this product boosts your testosterone without caring whether or not it actually boosts your testosterone. Now, it could boost your testosterone, but it also might not, and there's just no evidence to show that it does. That, there's an open question as to whether or not that could be considered honest to goodness fraud. Now, it's a little bit harder to prove, which I think is why we haven't seen lawyers take on those kind of cases.
although there is limited evidence to support an increase in testosterone, more evidence than not denies such an increase. When you do dig into the individual studies, you'll see that even the best compounds, the best studies, are still pretty underwhelming. It's important to realize that when people inject testosterone, their test levels increase by massive amounts. The study showed that when subjects injected 600 milligrams of testosterone enanthate, an anabolic steroid, their test levels went from 630 all the way up to 2,370 nanograms per deciliter.
I think that's the other thing that's kind of misleading about test boosters. Your balls aren't going to start producing levels to make you into superhuman just because you took some fenugreek.
1,740 increase. By comparison, the natural test booster I'm most optimistic about, ashwagandha, only increased testosterone by 96 nanograms per deciliter. So pretty underwhelming by comparison to actual steroids, but there are still other better methods for boosting testosterone than dietary supplements. These include getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night, maintaining a healthy body weight, ensuring that there's enough overall fat in your diet, and increasing micronutrients that you could be deficient in. For example, you might not be getting enough zinc, magnesium, or vitamin D. So these are the things I'd focus on. And to borrow a line from a recent issue of the Mass Research Review, if you have fairly normal or even high testosterone levels, none of the supplements currently marketed as testosterone boosters are likely to yield meaningful benefits. Of course, despite this, in the Amazon study, average reviews for the test boosters were still very positive. The top 5 supplements had an average rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars. This proves...
Actually reminds me when I first started working out, when I was like a young adult anyway, I bought these branched chain amino acids, and I got the most expensive brand you can get. It was like $50 for a tub, and I started working out, and I was like, holy shit, my biceps have grown like 2 inches in a month. This is amazing. I gained 20 pounds. of muscle. Like those BCAAs are the shit. And then I realized that like literally I could have done anything, going from doing nothing to working out just a little bit is like you're gonna see the most amount of gains no matter what. You can train like garbage and like have the most ineffective workout possible, and you're still gonna make gains because your body's used to doing nothing, and you're all of a sudden providing it any sort of stimuli. It'll lead it up, and you're gonna make tremendous progress regardless. Anyway, let's continue.
They almost always do other things, like start training harder or eating a better diet, which is great, but then they falsely attribute any results they get to the new pills. This is something we'll see at play once again in the second supplement on my list. So, number 2 on my list to avoid is turkesterone. 6 months ago, I did a video breaking down what turkesterone is and why it isn't deserving of the marketing hype it's gotten over the last year. In fact, at the time of publishing that video, there was 0 human evidence on turkesterone, and there's still 0 human evidence on turkesterone today. But a lot else has happened in the turkesterone world since publishing that video, so I figured I'd quickly get everyone up to speed. Now, if you remember, while there wasn't any human data on turkesterone...
There it is. We're talking about turkesterone, aka placebo.
There is some research on related ectosteroids, the most promising of which was this 2019 study from Eisenman and colleagues, which did, in fact, show that subjects taking a peak ectosterone supplement saw significantly greater muscle gains than a group taking placebo. But there was a catch. When they lab tested the peak ectosterone pills, they found that they only contained 6% of what was claimed on the label. Instead of 100 milligrams of ectosterone, it had 6 milligrams of ectosterone.
So yeah, I guess it makes you wonder, like, what is he even, what are they putting in those pills, right? Like, so you're getting some results, and it's not whatever they're saying are in those pills, right? I remember that, like, the moment I lost the last little bit of respect I had for Greg Doucette was when he started attacking people who were rightfully pointing that out, that, hey, there's literally no evidence for turkesterone to work, and also, like, we are in an industry where it's not regulated, so anyone can just put whatever they want in a pill, say whatever they want about what's in there, and people buy it. And guess what? That's what fucking Greg did, and that is what Derek from More Plates, More Dates did. And I know that a lot of people like Derek because he's like pretty sympathetic guy. You know what? Like, I gotta call it as it is. Like, he's selling bullshit. I think he believes it's bullshit, but that doesn't matter. Like, he should, once he found out that it was bullshit, he should have pulled it from the market.
But it gets worse, because last month, a company called Turkesterone ran some independent lab tests on the most popular turkesterone supplements on the market. They found that while Greg Doucette's Turk Builder claimed to contain 500 milligrams of turkesterone per capsule, it only actually contained 0.7 milligrams per capsule. Just 0.15.
You hear that? 0.1% of the product that it's supposed to have. And he's fucking charging through the roof for some bullshit that doesn't work. And well, I guess this is how some people decide to make money. Ripping off their fans. I don't know about that. That doesn't seem right to me.
The Gorilla Mind turkesterone pills also had less than 1% of the label claim, and some other turkesterone products had no detectable turkesterone at all. Now, a few people have been quick to write off these lab results since Turkesterone also sells supplements, so they could have a vested interest in making these other products look bad. However, there's been a lot of back and forth between these parties. It's all available online. And as someone who personally has a degree in biochemistry, I do find the chemistry from the nootropics lab convincing. Granted, I'm not exactly a turkesterone fan, so I could have some bias as well. But you can go through it all for yourself, and I'll link all the lab tests and the relevant replies down below. And to be fair, I know there are still some question marks in terms of exactly how to detect and tease apart these different ectosteroids, because many of them are chemically similar.
It's kind of like iffy stratifying for this ectosteroid because there's so many similar molecules and stuff that it seems like there's a lot of chemistry debate as to even figuring out if it's there, if it's cross-detecting as something else, what is going on.
As I see it, this whole situation...
Just don't call it turkesterone. You don't know it's turkesterone. If you want to say that it's an ectosterone of some sort, just call it a generic ectosterone. Like, remember earlier we were talking about what is or isn't fraud, right? Well, claiming that your product contains something when you have no way of knowing if it really does contain what you say it does. I mean, okay, so I'm editing the video right now, and I realized that I didn't explain why it's relevant, whether or not they knew or didn't know that their product is either efficient, works, has what they claim it does, or any of that stuff. And so I'll explain that right now. The tort of fraud is one of the only torts, or one of the few torts where intention matters. In other words, in order for it to be fraud, you have to want to defraud someone. You have to want to take advantage of someone's lack of knowledge in a certain field in order to profit at their detriment. So the question of whether or not, stating a fact to be true when you have no reason to believe it to be true, the reason that's pertinent is because that may fall under fraud, but it might not also rise to that level. So, for example, so you're getting your turkesterone from a supplier, and he assures you that he's done all the tests necessary and that it's great quality and all that, and then you resell it as turkesterone. That might not fall under fraud per se, because you didn't have any reason to doubt the claim to begin with. But there's other circumstances where it might fall to fraud. But that's actually why you don't see fraud allegations being tossed around so often, is because it's actually hard to prove intent. That's why in a situation where there's a clear disregard to the veracity of the claim, lawyers will tend to sue for negligent misrepresentation, because with negligence, we don't really care about intent. We're not saying this guy is, he's mean, he's a bad guy. He just didn't care. He was negligent. In the case of at hand, in the sort of situation we're looking at, we probably would have to look at all the evidence that would get divulged during discovery, and so there's no real way for me to say one way or another if it's fraud, if it's negligent or misrepresentation. Hopefully that answers some of the questions you may have had that weren't answered when I first filmed the video.
Red flag. Not only do these products have a sketchy science base to begin with, they also have serious quality control issues. This is why I think it's so important to be a so-called late adopter in an industry that's this poorly regulated. In the words of Dr. Eric Helms, even the most effective supplements, like creatine and caffeine, still make a very small impact.
I didn't realize how short
Don't get caught
Jeff
up by the
Nippard
hype
was.
surrounding a new supplement. You won't miss out if you simply wait a year or two until additional studies are published. And the last supplement on my list is beta-alanine. So in this case, it isn't that beta-alanine doesn't work. It almost certainly does, just not for typical resistance training. Beta-alanine works by lowering the level of acidity in the muscle.
Beta-alanine as one of those few supplements that are efficient.
Sounds like a very good thing.
Are effective.
The problem is that increased acidity likely isn't causing fatigue for sets that last less than 30 seconds or so. It takes time for lactic acid to build up, and a typical...
Okay, so I think I know where he's going with that. So beta-alanine is effective for when you're having an extended set, and so most normal straight sets of 8 to let's say 6 to 12 reps, they don't last more than 30 seconds. That's true. But while Jeff Nippard obviously has been very successful in using the mechanical tension side of muscle building, right? So just adding weight to the bar and getting stronger that way. Been very successful for him. There's actually 3 pathways to build muscle. You got your mechanical tension, you've got your metabolic stress pathway, and then there's also the muscle damage side of it, right? So metabolic stress you get through doing high reps, low rests, and you sort of build metabolites that way. The beta alanine would help to extend those sets so that you can get more work done before the burn gets to be too much, and also it would help you to extend those sets so that you can actually create more muscle damage. You get muscle damage by, usually it's through those the weighted stretch, right? But again, if you're doing some long sets and it starts to burn too much, you might drop the bar, stop your set short of what you could otherwise do with beta alanine. And if you're doing some drop sets, you're doing like 1 or 2 or a couple drops in one set, it can easily extend beyond the 90-second threshold that where the beta alanine would kick in. So I get that, like, if you're just doing your typical, weight training and you're just doing straight sets, it might not be useful, but it does have its place, and I certainly supplement with beta alanine. If you're looking for some cheap supplements that you can buy in bulk so that you can have it as part of your training program and you can supplement long-term sustainably with it, go to bulksupplements.com, affiliate link down below. If you don't go through the link, you can always get your discount by typing in Vincent with a capital V 12 in the discount the discount section of the website. If you want to watch more videos, just subscribe to my channel. I'll try to do some more reacts. I kind of like that sort of format. If you do too, just let me know. In the meantime, have yourselves a great night.